Meet Marcus, Senior Project Manager, $155,000 a year. He leases a luxury car. He lives in an expensive apartment. But here's what you don't see. A few days before payday, his account drops to $900. He's carrying $4,800 in credit card debt. No emergency fund. He does anxious math in his head at 2 in the morning. Marcus isn't rich. He's just earning a lot of money and watching most of it pass straight through his life. Now, meet Dana. She earns $72,000 a year, less than half of what Marcus makes. She drives a paid-off 2019 Honda Civic. She keeps her phone until it physically stops working. She invests consistently and quietly. She's built more than $167,000 in net worth. She hasn't lost a minute of sleep over money in years. Dana earns less than half as much as Marcus, yet she's built real net worth, while Marcus, the higher earner, is still carrying thousands in revolving debt with no safety net. Same city, very different foundations. How is that possible? Today we're breaking down 11 minimalist money rules that separate looking rich from actually being financially secure. This is real frugal living, not the guilt trip version, the version that actually builds you a life. And stay until the final rule, because it's one simple automatic habit that makes saving happen without relying on willpower. Rule 1, and I want to start here because everything else in this video builds on it. True wealth was never about what you own. It's about how much freedom you have to choose. Ask yourself, if you lost your job tomorrow, how many days could you survive without changing a single thing about your lifestyle? That's your freedom horizon. Someone earning $80,000 who spends $40,000 has enormous room to pivot careers, take a year off, or walk away from a toxic boss. Someone earning $200,000 who spends $195,000 has zero options, no matter how good the address looks. Margin isn't boring. Margin is power. Rule 2. This one is 250 years old, and it's probably still running up your credit card bill today. It's called the Diderot effect, named after the French philosopher Denis Diderot, who was gifted a beautiful scarlet dressing gown. Almost overnight, his old desk looked shabby next to it. His chair looked shabby. His rug looked shabby. So he replaced them, all of them, and spent himself into debt chasing a robe. A major purchase is never isolated. It multiplies into an entire ecosystem. A boat needs a trailer. The trailer needs a hitch-equipped SUV. Then there's storage fees, insurance. Before you buy anything major, ask, what else is this going to make me want to buy? Add that whole cascade to the price tag before you decide. Rule 3, and this is the one that changes how shopping feels forever. Money is stored time. So the real cost of anything isn't the dollar amount, it's the hours of your life you traded to earn it. Calculate your real hourly wage. Take your pay, subtract the hidden costs like commuting, work, and clothes. Now look at your next purchase differently. If your real rate is $25 an hour, a $700 phone isn't $700. It's 28 hours of your one finite life. Ask yourself, is this worth 28 hours of the only time I get? Before we jump into the next rule, let's take a quick pause. If you're building real financial security step by step, drop a quick comment below saying, I am a saver. It takes 2 seconds, but it's a small way to claim that mindset and see how many people in this community are on the exact same path with you. All right, let's get back to it. Rule 4. Without a written definition of enough, your lifestyle will expand to swallow every raise you ever get. That's lifestyle creep, and it's exactly why 1/3 of U.S. consumers earning $250,000 or more have reported living paycheck to paycheck. They're running an endless race with a finish line that keeps sliding away. Your action step: write down your specific number, your baseline comfort, and decide right now that any income above that number goes toward buying your freedom, not a bigger car, not a bigger house. Rule 5. Clutter isn't just visual, it's a real mental load, and it measurably raises stress and steals your focus. Here's the test. This weekend, walk through your house and look at every item worth more than $50. Ask yourself honestly, if this vanished into thin air today, Would I spend my hard-earned money to replace it tomorrow? If the answer is no, that's a zombie asset. Sell it, donate it. You get your space back, and you get your headspace back. Rule 6. That urgency you feel in a store or on a checkout page, it's manufactured. Entire teams of marketers and consumer behavior specialists are paid to make buying feel urgent. Here's how you take the wheel back. The 1% rule. If a non-essential purchase is more than 1% of your annual gross income, so $500 if you earn $50,000, you're not allowed to buy it for 24 to 72 hours. No exceptions, no negotiating with yourself. Here's why it works. The dopamine hit from wanting something and the dopamine hit from having it are almost identical. Remove the urgency and you remove the illusion. Wait 3 days and about 90% of those must-have feelings simply evaporate. Congratulations, you've made it through half of the video. I put a lot of time and research into making these videos as practical and useful as possible. But 90% of the people watching right now aren't subscribed. So if this is genuinely helping you build a better relationship with money, I'd really appreciate your like and subscribe. It helps me keep making videos like this for you. Rule 7. Subscriptions are silent by design, built to stay under your radar. The average American spends $219 a month on subscriptions, but when asked, guesses they're only spending $86. That gap shows just how easy recurring spending is to underestimate. Twice a year, do what I call a subscription autopsy. Don't just review them, cancel everything that isn't a true utility. For 7 days, only resubscribe to what you actively reach for and genuinely miss. You'll find most of them weren't serving you. You were serving them. Rule 8. Debt on things that lose value? Cars, furniture, vacations deserves extra scrutiny because you're paying interest on something that's worth less every day you own it. The average new car payment is now around $770 a month, and that car loses 20 to 30% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. Here's the more useful version of this rule. For most everyday depreciating purchases, especially cars, if the payment only works because you've stretched the loan out longer, the item probably isn't affordable no matter what the monthly number looks like. A shorter loan term or a cheaper used car tells you the truth. A 72-month payment plan is very good at hiding it. Rule 9. Everything you buy costs you money twice. The first cost is the price tag. The second is what I call the ownership tax. Storage, maintenance, mental clutter, and the opportunity cost of the space it eats up. Simple math, if your rent or mortgage runs about $30 a square foot a year, and you grab a bargain $800 treadmill that takes up 20 square feet, you're paying $600 a year in storage tax. Over 5 years, that treadmill hasn't cost you $800. It's cost you $3,000. So before your next purchase, ask one simple question. What's the rent on this? If you wouldn't pay that rent on purpose, don't pay it by accident. And if you've made it this far, you're one of the real ones. If you're enjoying the video, hit that hype button and help this video reach more people who are trying to build a better relationship with money. We've got 2 rules left, and the last one is the one that makes all of this automatic. Rule 10. The price tag is a lie. The only honest number is cost per use. A $600 high-quality winter coat, worn 100 times over its life, costs you $6 per wear. A $60 fast fashion jacket, worn twice and shoved to the back of the closet, costs you $30 per wear. Expensive can be cheap. Cheap can be devastatingly expensive. But don't judge cost per use by year 1 alone. A $200 appliance that quietly saves you time for the next 10 years can be a brilliant purchase, even if it takes a while to earn out. And a $1 gadget you buy on impulse and never touch again is a bad purchase, no matter how cheap it looked at checkout. So the real rule is simple. Buy based on expected lifetime use, not the sticker price. Before you buy, ask, realistically, how often will I use this, and for how long? If the honest answer is not much, the price almost doesn't matter. Rule 11. This is the one I promised you at the very start. The principle is simple. Save first, spend what's left. Most of us spend all month and hope there's something left over to save. Minimalists flip that completely. Set up your accounts so 20% of your income is automatically pulled into savings and investments the exact day your paycheck lands. Automation takes willpower completely out of the equation, and willpower was never something you could rely on at 4 p.m. on a hard day anyway. In an economy built to keep you spending, staying boring is a genuinely rebellious move. Real stability is quiet. It's the specific kind of silence where the money stress used to live. So, here's your homework. This weekend, find 10 items in your house that fail the replacement test from Rule 5. Sell them, donate them, or give them away, whatever's easiest. The goal isn't to make a few $100s. It's to stop letting things you don't use occupy your money, your space, and your attention. And if you want to take this even further, watch my video, 13 Japanese Money Habits to Cut Spending by 20%. It's waiting for you in the end screen. And before you go, tell me in the comments, which of these 11 rules are you starting with today? Smash subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next one.